Are you looking to increase conversion rates, spend less on development, and make new friends? While unfortunately Unbounce can't help you with all three, in this video I'm going to go through a full tutorial of the Unbounce platform from the very basics of getting your first landing page set up and running all the way through to some advanced features including dynamic variables, hidden fields, and seamlessly split testing landing pages. Over the years we've built over 100 landing pages for more than 40 B2B companies. In that time Unbounce has even reached out to us to ask if they can feature some of our landing pages on their website. I mean, look at this lovely email from them. Sure you can, Unbounce. These landing pages have been featured alongside landing pages from the likes of Salesforce, Monday.com, and Shopify. And if you want to check them out, you can go over to Google, type in B2B landing pages, and click on the first organic result, and you can find some of the pages on there. Right, credentials out the way, let's jump into the tutorial. First things first, go over to unbounce.com and go up top right hand corner. And if you've already got an account, obviously log in, or you can start a free trial. Or if you'd like to, you can actually go and request a demo as well. Someone can then go through and give you a bit more information. But hopefully this video is going to cover off most of that. Anyway, so once you've created your account, which I'm not going to film the process of because that shouldn't be too tricky, we can then jump into the dashboard for Unbounce. Now, there's different levels of account. We have the agency plan, which allows us to have lots of different domains connected to it. But if you're just looking for one, then ultimately you're going to have a set traffic limit at the top right-hand corner. You can see how much of a limit you have. So at the moment, we have 50,000 people in this instance of ours, as well as a certain number of conversions. If you hit that threshold, then you're going to have to increase it. But if you're getting more than 3,000 conversions on one single account, for example, you can probably afford to treat yourself to a few more conversions. Now, this varies. They're changing their prices all the time, so it's worth just keeping an eye on whether it's factored around the number of accounts you're connected to, or whether it's factored around traffic and conversions. Over the years, we've seen all different types of pricing, and it's frequently changing. So just make sure you keep an eye on the different packages and any upsells which you may run into, which ultimately are going to increase the cost of you running this platform, and make sure it's economical and worth it for your company. On the left-hand side, there's a few different elements. So I've just created this new test client account called YouTube, which is great because it has its own then isolated tab on the left-hand side of everything that we can go through. So first things first, let's go through the thing that most of us are here for, which is pages. So we can click on Create New Page. And Unbounce gives you two options. Now this smart builder one is relatively new, and I'm not going to go too much into it today because it's about building your landing pages with AI and everything else. I think it's probably worth us learning how to do it manually before going into this section here as well. So I'll create another video on how you can use that. First of all, we can go on Start Building. And you have two options here. You can either use from some of their templates, which ultimately you can go through here and look at the various conversion focused landing page templates they've got. I don't think many of these have really changed since the 5 or 6 years that we've been using the product. You can even go and use sort of generic ones here, like this is your primary heading with a few example modules down here. You can also, if I go back, click on upload an Unbounce page. If someone else, or an agency or a freelancer, or you've gone to a Inverter Elements, for example, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, you can upload templates into this as well. So it'd be in the same folder. You can upload here. Let's just go back into Create New, and you can start building. So let's, for example, here, let's go through the very basics and just create this, get this little wireframe looking one here, and go start with this template, and let's call it test. Variation 1, and start with this template. And that really is how easy it is to get up and running with Unbounce. The best thing about this is the fact it was built for rapid deployment, so you haven't got to go through and do any excessive coding, but ultimately it's for people who have the designs, want to split test and get things up and running quickly, and then plug it into their own domain again, which is something that we'll get onto. So let's go through the different sections one by one. First things first, sections. The way in which this whole page is built is on sections. So for example, this is here, it's one section, this is one section, this one here's a section, and this is a way of helping you segment the page. If you want to create a new section, if you're starting from scratch, you can literally just drag section into this page down here, which for some reason isn't working. There we go. And you can increase the size or decrease the size of the section depending on how much room you need. Rather than just adding in lines or whatever and going down, it really helps you create different sections. And then when we get onto the mobile version later, it'll be a bit more clear about how it helps you then create different modules for stacking on top of each other, for example. But let's just go and click the backspace and delete that now. Literally how easy it is to create these sections. And the other thing you want to take into consideration before you get started is the width here. Technically, because it's not a responsive landing page, so there's not going to be different levels of the amount of pixels in which it will start collapsing in like you can do on normal website development. What you can do here is set this initial one to be the size of what an average screen would be. So if someone using a 13-inch new Mac, for example, can we make sure that they can see the width of this without it breaking and sort of stacking down, because it's not going to stack in the way that a usual website will. So typically I like to leave it as it is because they've already created these guidelines on the outside to make sure that it's compatible with most. You can make it a little bit wider depending on your preferences. I like to make it round. Let's make it around 980. And then what happens here, see I'm currently on a Mac 14-inch screen, and this is getting, just probably about the size that it would be comfortable to view. And everything else that goes outside of it, you can see here, will be in red. So let's actually bring it in because I can't actually see the size of it at the moment. So everything that comes outside will be in red, and you'll find it hard to publish if you have it over here. So it will have some sort of error that pops up if you are outside. So make sure everything's in, and then it won't be red anymore. So you have sections, and you have, let's just go through and create a bit of room for our call to action. So next thing is we have different sections on the page. It's literally just a drag and drop builder like you'd find in Canva or sort of something which is another no-code tool. And on the left right hand side here, you've got your toolbox, which again will be very much like anything from Word to other platforms which allow you to line text, for example. So if I have this text here, I can literally just drag it around wherever I want. Obviously keep it within the lines, align it left, and then align the text left. Let's bring this down a little bit, bring this underneath, so we can start then moving this over, which makes way for the next element, which is going to be forms. So with forms, we can have predefined fields like email, first name, last name, phone number. Again, I'm not going to go through too much conversion-focused optimization today, how many form fields that you should use. But ultimately, you can pick and select you want them here. You can have your label hidden. So for example, if I click done here, you have the label at the top. If I double click on that and say hide label, hide label's done, hide label, and then you can have like email at email.com, and you can add placeholders, Mr. John Doe, I don't know, and then add it here, and then you can see that this here is being added. Within this, you can obviously add your own text fields, checkboxes, radio button, sorry. And it's pretty straightforward. Now, the great thing, like I mentioned with hidden fields, which I'll get onto a bit later, is if you have UTMs pulling into your landing page, you can call one like UTM underscore keyword. And what will happen is you can then dynamically pull the keyword, if it's from Google Ads, for example, and pull that in to a hidden field. So the user can't see that field. So if I click on done, the user can't see that hidden field within it. But ultimately what happens then is we can see the keyword that's being pulled through from Google. If it's Bing, you get even more data, and then we can push that into whether it's your email, whether it's your CRM, we can push that to everywhere we want. If you're using HubSpot or Salesforce, it's not as important because they have a native integration to this UTM codes anyway, but it's a really cool feature if you're just getting started and you haven't got all that CRM set up. So if you want to go down here, you can go and obviously customize it. I'm not going to go into it too much. So obviously we have the label attributes here, which we obviously can't see because we've got rid of the labels. We've got the field attributes, so you can obviously see how many columns you want. So 1 to 2 columns, how much height we want to give it, spacing, making it look real ugly here, font size. Then separately, we can go on to the form button. So we can obviously give it colors here as well. So we can make it red. I mean, this isn't a masterclass in actually how you should design pages and make conversion focus optimized landing pages. At the end of this video, I'll link to a video which we've done how you should structure and 16 points of how you should structure your B2B lead generation landing page. But this video, it's more of a tutorial about how to use this wonderful platform. So you can use it here, and then you can go and select the background, and you can then select, for example, let's just make it white in here, and then obviously you can play around with these as much as you'd like. So here's how you use the form, and then you can let's go down the left hand side here. So we add a box, for example, behind here, send backwards. What we have now is a box. So you have a box around this, and you can drag it, and everything within this box, like the form, is going to be moved around with it. And then you can obviously add more text. You can copy and paste that. Here. Here we go, wonderful. And then obviously you can go and play around with size of this. And now everything that is in part of this box, you can move around within the box. So kind of helps you segment it slightly more, as well as adding like design features within it as well. Now, obviously we have a hero image here at the top. There's a few different ways you can do it. So click on the section, and then you can have background here. So the background can either be a solid color, or it can be an image. So if you upload an image here, it will span the whole width. So if you want to make sure that the image actually spans the whole width of the background, then make sure it does that. Let's go on public images, Unbounce, and just use some of the ones they've got. So for example, if I click this, choose, it will create it. But if you don't want it to fill the whole background, you can just have it here so it doesn't go wider. So really the design and the features is up to you guys. You can also include a parallax effect as well. Only works with some images, but as you can see, it freezes the image and you can scroll down. But you need to make sure the image is fit for purpose with that one. So far we've gone down. I apologize as well for the fact that this is not the best looking landing page, but trying to get through all the features without trying to give design advice as well. Cool. Let's just make this white at the moment so we can actually see it. Oh, doesn't make it much better. Okay, so we've done section, boxes, text, images, obviously self-explanatory. You can go and add images wherever you'd like using this process here. Obviously, nice little logo here that we can whack within here. We have buttons, for example. You can add buttons obviously here. You can customize them like we went through with the form button earlier. But say, for example, you have a call to action button here and you want it to jump somewhere else in the page. You can have go to URL and put a little hashtag here, and then the block you want it to jump through, just then it automatically jump through to that again. So if we go on to preview, let's go on to save preview. Oh, it's still saving. Let's go on to preview now. You can click call to action and it will jump to this bottom bit here. Again, there is actually custom JavaScript that you can insert, which will make it scroll smoothly. But again, let's go through the basics in this part of the video. I'm just going to remove this image of the background. Let's just go back to solid color, just to make it clearer to see. So once we've done that, we've got the text, images, button, lightbox button. So for example, if you wanted to bring up a lightbox, it will edit lightbox in here. So a lightbox ultimately when something pops up. You can actually then create that. So you have a form and you want to create a form on a lightbox, you can have a button there which moves to that, and then you can see the sub areas up here where you can go and edit the thank you page, the form has been submitted, and the lightbox in which you can put the form. Let's get rid of that lightbox button. what else have we got down here? Form. You can only have one form per page. So again, this is the form here, so it'll then black out. Embed video, obviously something that you can insert your video snippet there from YouTube, Vimeo, wherever you like. And the custom code. This is ultimately going to be used for likes of the scrolling effect of the logos and FAQ drop downs and everything else along those lines. So that's pretty simple of how you can go and create a landing page. Again, apologies for the design. A few things from a housekeeping perspective, you want to make sure that you look into. So page properties. Do you want this page to be indexed by search engines? If you've got lots of similar landing pages and you don't want there to be any sort of cannibalization issues or any issues within organic search, then you can hide your search engine, hide from search engines, and obviously you can add all your meta descriptions and title tags if it is a page that you want to appear in organic search. Very important there. And obviously goals, what's going to happen is when we sync this up, you can have it in analytics. It will actually then fire an event goal when you submit a form. Typically what we do is we create a form in GA4 anyway for a thank you page rather than the event. But it really depends on your preferred method of setting up goals and events. But yeah, just click this in. There's no point in unclicking it, I reckon, if even if you don't want to use it, it's still there, which can be used as a second layer of just making sure that everything's being processed properly. Let's save this and let's go and show you how you can put this live. Go back to overview. What we can see now is in our pages, we have this one page. Now, one thing you want to do before you do anything further is add a domain. Now, domain is a way that you can actually make sure that it goes into your domain / and then you can put landing page, for example. Now, that structure only works on WordPress landing pages at the moment because there's a WordPress plugin. If you go into your CRM, you can type for Unbounce in the plugin store, and literally, if you want to go connect a WordPress domain, you just include, say, session-media.com and go create WordPress domain. And we've already got one in use, but all you got to do is go into your back end of your CRM, download the domain and click sync, and then it will take you back to your Unbounce landing page that you're already logged into and automatically create that sync. It will typically propagate, it says up to sort of 24 hours, but it does it pretty quickly. The next way you can do it is when you connect a domain. So any other domain, and you do this through something called a domain registrar. What you can do here again is enter your domain, but what you'd use if you don't want to use it as your main website, would you create something called a subdomain? So a lot of people have like go dot or get dot and your domain there. If it's on WordPress, you can have it in a folder after your domain, but if it's on anything else, unfortunately you have to have a subdomain, which would be like get.session-media.com. So I'll be like go.session-media.com. We go connect domain. There's been a recent evolution in the way they've done this. You used to physically have to go into the domain registrar like GoDaddy and create a CNAME record called Go and then point it towards the Unbounce landing page, and then it would configure that way. Now it looks like they're using something called entry, which will just click continue. If you click continue and then just log into where you bought the domain from, it will automatically add that CNAME record. So if you're not familiar with the setup or anything around this, then that's really handy for you guys. So if you go into continue, you go analyzing your domain, connecting to DNS provider, and get it set up if you're ready. So let's just get rid of that. And if you wanted to go and add the CNAME setup, you literally just go into your domain registrar, type in go, and then point it towards this. It takes about 2 minutes. So if you're either going to do it, if you bought the domain or the developer owns the domain or the company owns the domain, make sure you log in and then you can go and set that up. You can add any users you'd like. I'm not going to click on this because obviously we have company-wide users of people who use the accounts. Which is great. And then the other big thing is, even though it sits on your domain, it's still not being tracked by your analytics. So it's still a separate entity and hosted on the Unbounce servers. So what you want to do is go onto Script Manager, and then you want to add your first script, and then you can either add analytics, but normally what I'd recommend is your analytics is probably being hosted by Google Tag Manager anyway. So go on, add Google Tag Manager, go over to your Google Tag Manager instance, and then you can copy and paste your GTM code, which will be at the top of your Google Ads or Google Tag Manager account. If you want to add your analytics or a custom script or GA4, then just go into your GA4 account and copy and paste the number at the top left-hand side of your account anyway. So once you've added all of that, you now have your Unbounce tracking. A lot of people forget to add the script or go into individual pages and add the script within the JavaScript section of each page. There's no point in doing that because you're going to be creating more than one page, most probably. So make sure that you have all the scripts set up across the board so you can just track everything. Once you've done this and put your Unbounce live, you can create split tests. What you can actually do here is you can go onto your Unbounce landing page, which you've just created, and then you can create a new variant. You call it variant. You can duplicate your first variant, or you can start from scratch. And if you create a new variant of this page, what you can do once you put it live is you can edit it and you can do an A/B split test. So you can say, I want to send 50% of my traffic to this page, and I want to send 50% of my traffic to this page as well. And what will happen is in your results panel, you'll be able to see the A variant and the B variant, and then ultimately it's going to show you which one's converting better. It can be big changes. We recommend making sort of one big change, so then you understand which variables are working the most to be able to start converting people at a higher rate. I'm going to jump quickly onto another account just to show you how the back-end reporting looks. So here's an example. If you go into leads, you're able to start seeing the leads that have come through. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to blur this all out. Really great at being able to go through, and if you haven't got access to Client CRM, you can actually see the leads that are coming through your page. So if it's only dedicated activity from your paid media, you have a really good idea of the direct response leads that are coming through. Now that's great, but one thing we want to make sure is we have them push all these leads somewhere as well. So what we want to do then is go into this page here, and you can click on integrations. So what you can do is integrate it with your email. So you can say, I want to be sent emails every time a lead comes through, which is quite nice, especially when you're just getting going, because it's always good to get that dopamine hit of that lead coming through. You can sync it up to the likes of MailChimp, Salesforce. My personal favorite is HubSpot. Really simply just going in and clicking connect with HubSpot, and all the leads then go through from there. The only thing you do is make sure that whatever you're doing it through, or whatever CRM you're pushing it to, is you map the fields. So you make sure that email goes to email, name goes to name. And if you have like a custom field, like a new radio check, or you have something which is new to the Unbounce page, which you haven't got a property for in your CRM, make sure you go create that in your CRM so it syncs one-to-one. And then once you've done with your page, before you go and add your own domain in, it'll just be on an Unbounce page. You can go and publish your domain, publish now. And we can publish this beautiful landing page. And that's when the stats start rolling and it starts going live. And then we can obviously go to the live landing page. Oh, isn't it great? So that is everything from a page perspective. We obviously have pop-ups and sticky bars, a very similar process. So for example, if you want to create a pop-up, be careful with pop-ups and sticky bars because they do take up your traffic and conversion allowance as well. And obviously they're not going to be as high intent, but we can test and create this pop-up and sticky bar as well. And very similar to the way in which we just built the landing page, you can design this page here, so you can design the text the same way, you can design anything the same way, and then if you go into preview, you can see how it works. And then we go back to overview, and within the landing page, or within the sticky bar here, you can see you can set it for URL targeting. So for example, you can say just trigger on this one URL, or you can say delay after 5 seconds they hit the page, or a popular one is when people try and exit the page, you can trigger this pop up as well. There's so many different things you can also like say as well, if someone only show it to visits on their second visit, for example, and don't show it to all return visitors. So really just go and create your custom rules. Again, you can add the embed code, but if you've already added the scripts, I'll just go and add this embed code to Google Tag Manager just for ease of use. Now, I think we're nearly done with this tutorial. I think the one thing I want to go through quickly is looking at landing pages for mobile. So let's go here and select the first variant. Final thing I want to go through is landing page responsiveness, and ultimately what we've done is created a desktop landing page primarily, obviously with the different media queries at the top here. And then what we're going to have is a mobile version of this as well. Now, the first thing you want to do is go down to mobile and then make sure it's toggled on. And then what you can do is, if you have loads of random bits everywhere, like you probably will, just go Layout Assistant and click Apply to all sections, which will bring it all within these parameters we mentioned earlier. It's not going to be red anymore. But what the issue is, this will have an impact on your desktop page. So any edits you make on your desktop page or any edits you make on your mobile page will impact the other page, for example. I go Lifebook here, you can see the Lifebook thing is nice and neatly there, and the Lifebook thing is nice and neatly here. If I go up to desktop, now that the landing page is live, and I move it just without clicking anything, you can see that the changes have affected the other view. So Lifebook's now been moved into a random place. Now, if I undo all of this, so you can see Lifebook is now back where it should be, and Lifebook is here. If I click Command and move it here, if I go onto mobile, Lifebook is still in the same place. So once you put your mobile page live, make sure that every time you make an adjustment that you hit the Command button. So that's pretty much the fundamentals. Obviously, first and foremost, before you go out and create any conversion optimized landing page, make sure you work on first the messaging, 2, look at the wireframe, and then 3, get it designed. Now, if you want to go through and look at the 16 different elements which create a high converting landing page, I've actually created a video that you can watch here, which will take you through all those elements you need to consider before actually jumping in to Unbounce and using these tools to create landing pages. So I hope you found that useful. Any questions, as always, whack them in the comments. Till next time, guys, have a great day.